Walking from Windsor. No, I didn't have anything in
I brought myself an extra extension cord so that I could walk over there and film them. And because I was doing that, I said I'll bring the camera in, you know, because in the past we never sort of did this one. I didn't bother to put the data projector up because basically it's people talking. The only thing that we would show is recent acquisitions, but they can put it on the table. It's on record, John, so whenever you want to start.
Okay, welcome everybody. We sit down. Welcome everybody to the Australian Numismatic Society's December meeting, 2019. Our Christmas function. So the meeting will be rather brief because it's more to do with having a bit of sort of get together and coffee, teas, and whatever we've brought along. So as we said last month, if you can bring a plate with food on it.
Not just an empty one.
Oh, I did. Okay, the meeting is 1206, 1206th meeting. We have apologies from Barry Towers, Les Carlisle, Robert Tonner, Matthew Lloyd, Jim Noble, Bob Glimpson, Peter Dunstan and Ross Pratley. I also noticed there's an apology in the book, on the sign-in book from Rudy, but is that because you showed up? There's an apology there.
Maybe you put it in the wrong
You put it in the wrong place.
Put it in the wrong column.
It's so long since you've been here, you forgot where to sign. That's his Christmas present.
And I advised that I would institute.
Yeah.
First meeting was noticed as an apology. Second one, nothing was said. I probably, another black mark.
No, just in the attendance book, Rudy, in the attendance book you have here that you put your name in there and you signed it, and then you also signed it under the apologies.
So you're apologising for being here?
Apologising for being here.
That's what I was just simply asking the question, Rudy. What are you apologising about?
Coming.
Sure, you want to have Murray Brad.
I'll add Murray Brad's name to it.
Add Murray Brad. All right. Thanks, Rudy.
Jump on music.
Geez, we're mean to you, aren't we?
I feel I'm deserving of
Special attention.
All right, well, our next meeting is at Philat's house on Monday, the 13th of January 2020. So we've gone out of the 2019 into 2020. January 13th, to be here again, 8 p.m. as normal. The topic for the night is gold and silver. Oh, that's a bugger. I bought my silver today.
Bring gold next time.
Bring the gold next time. Now, we also need a few suggestions for other topics for the rest of the year. So if you've got anything in particular that you would love to display and talk about at any of the meetings, please make a mention to Rod,
we'll make that the topic.
and we'll make up a topic for, like if you wanted to show bright and shinies. Oh no, we won't do that, but no one will show up.
Elephants.
If we bring, like if you wanted to sort of go with, in February.
Well, we've got everything up to May, actually.
Up to May, okay.
But we need from July onwards to May the following year.
Yeah, so if there's any suggestions that you think that you'd like to sort of see, by all means, let Rod know or myself, and we'll put that in the calendar.
I always think, John, when people bring along collections other than numismatics, we wind up having a very interesting night.
Members
You
of the
know,
collections.
I remember one guy came along with clothes pegs, and he had about 90 of the damn things. He'd never seen anything like it. The clothes pegs he had, you know, from things that I think were brought to Australia by Cook and all the rest of it. And, you know, we had some great nights.
You talk about,
turned up.
you talk about that. Remember that there was one night that we had that topic, and I think it was from the other club at the time, and we had a nurse. She was a member at the time, and she brought in all cigarette packets with the cancer warnings on it. And I thought,
From a note. Yeah, right.
it was a bit
well-
a bit over the top.
Yeah, that's a suggestion anyway.
Yeah, but we can certainly put in members of the collections, because yes, I do find that it's very interesting, because you don't realise what other people, what people are collecting other than numismatics. All right. Well, anyway, have a think about it, and we are okay up until May. Then we've got our conference in June. And then so from July onwards we need some suggestions. On that particular night, 13th of January 2020, auction number 38 will also close at that meeting. So, and I think Rod's got a couple of copies there, but it'll be online. So as you all know,
It's
go
online.
online.
Bids.
And the final bids can go in for auction 38 at the meeting, January 2020. When will you be selling the proclamation medals? Start
Next month.
Next month.
Yeah.
Okay. So also at the next meeting in January, we've got the next medal for in the series that Rod's been doing of the proclamation, the EIC Star Pagoda.
East India Company Star Pagoda.
East India Company. Yeah. Okay. Also, 29th of December, before our meeting, we've got the Petersham Fair at the Petersham Town Hall. That's 29th of December. That's the 5th Sunday of the month. So I suppose...
And they are having it.
They are having it, yes. So even though it's slap bang in the middle of holiday season, they're going to have the Petersham Fair. I just mentioned the conference, the 6th and 7th of June 2020 at the Sanctuary Resort at Coffs Harbour. For those that haven't already booked, have a think about it over Christmas and think of all the good reasons why you should go.
Special Captain Cook medals.
Oh yeah, we're
Won't
going to have
just be any
special
other way.
medals. Yeah, okay. All right, is there any other general business? No?
We're all waiting for the supper.
Well, we're going to have a quick meeting tonight. Okay, so what we're going to do then is we're going to invite the various members that have got a display to give us a talk about them, like a short talk, not a 20, 40...
Not more than
40
5 minutes.
Not more than 5 minutes.
Yeah, we want
Or
our
less.
supper.
Or less.
Really like that.
About their display, so that way we can that all the members can appreciate what they are all about, so that possibly they'll vote for the best display. So now when we have the best display, Rod's got little bits of paper,
Yes.
little voting tabs. So you've got there's a number on the beginning of each one of them. 1 to 6, I think it is. You just write on there whichever one you think is the best, and that way we know who's got the best display of the night. Now, has anyone got any recent acquisitions that they want to show tonight? Recent acquisitions? No?
I have it, but I'll put it over there, so
So it's a display. Okay.
I'll just make a comment.
That's all right. All right. Well, how about we just have that bit of a discussion.
Start with number one.
Starting with number one. I should imagine that's Tony Hall.
Right. It's hard to have a big discussion about these. But what I brought along tonight was faces on tinnies, and there's several. I could have brought a lot more because you've got army ones and you've got sporting ones, of course, lots of those. I did bring one along tonight, the sporting one, which of course is a very nice one to collect the Australian cricket players and the likes, and batsmen and bowlers. And the Invincibles are in there too. And of course, if you've got a set of those, they're fairly expensive and quite hard to get in sort of condition. Like I say that all the time. It's just that it seems to be just one of those things. It's the way people have stored badges over the time, and that's because of the deterioration of them. But somebody has put them in a reasonable place, certainly away from salt air and exposed to that, and light. And that's another bad thing, of course, as well. So to find them in sort of condition, and when you've got something like the Invincibles, you want it in nice condition. So that's that, as far as those are concerned. Now these ones here are all the good-looking sorts that used to be hanging about in the sort of 20s, 30s, 40s, whatever. And of course they're used by police organisations, charities, government departments, RSLs, and you name it. They call them sort of charity queens or fair queens or something like that. And quite hard to get some of them, as a matter of fact. Not that I specifically went out and went a particular badge. I just took them as they came along and thought, oh, right, I haven't seen that one before. And so they are a bit scarce. And once again, it is quality. You turn them down, because I always find that if you have reasonable quality, you don't want to go and put something with a lot of rust on it, unless it happens to be very rare and one-off, because it detracts from your other nice collecting you've got. And I know we're all in the same boat. And in some areas like this where rust comes in, and rust has to stand out and brown, looks bad, so that's it. These ones here, of course, are royal families, or royal family, but over the generation of them all. And as you scan through those, you will see there's quite a lot of old ones there of the early Princes of Wales and the early kings before they become crowned, and the likes with the queens. And it's amazing the smattering of different designs that are out there. Some of them do have ribbons on the back of them. If they do have ribbons, well, I just fold the ribbon up and leave it in the back. But once again, that's an interesting little area to collect. Particularly these ones here. That's Edward VIII, and of course these were produced before he decided he was going to pack it in. But I haven't seen too many of them around, to be quite honest. And other people that have looked at them and said, where'd you get them? So I can't remember, but I do remember my eyes lit up when I saw them. And I did pay a few dollars for them, as you would expect. So they're quite difficult ones to get, very nice to have, and it tells people the fact that there wasn't, David the Eighth or thereabouts. So that wound up being an interesting one to collect. So if you have a look at them, have a scan through some of these ones and see if you pick up any of your old girlfriends in some of these. And I don't know how many, I haven't counted them, but there's quite a number of them, and they're representing lots of organisations that you'll find out. And I've had a lot of fun collecting those. In fact, that one guy only rang me up the other day. He wanted to know whether I wanted to sell them. And I said, well, at this stage, no, but some stage I will. And he said, what do you want for them? I said, I don't know, and I don't. But that's my little lot tonight, and it just faces on titties.
Very good.
Thanks, Tony.
Okay.
Number 2.
I've just got a very small collection there. They're the pins that they used to give out when you went and got blood collections in the early days. When you got up to 25 blood donations, you got a little one there. This one's 50, that's 75, 100, 125. And the two on the top are a couple of different ones. The blood donor, just a blood donor pin without anything on it. The two at the bottom are 250 blood donations. So it's only a small little collection there, but I thought I'd just put them together and bring them in and to let you have a look at.
Don't use them anymore? Or don't issue them anymore?
I don't know. It might be 40 or 50 years since they've been hanging around. But a bit like, finding them in the cupboard and saying, oh, how long have they been there?
I haven't seen too many around, Pat.
Have you?
I haven't. Do they change the base metal as you get further and further, 250? Or is it all basically the same? They don't go from silver to a bit of gold
The
plate or
metal
anything?
seems to be the same there. It's,
Yeah, I know some organisations used to
but
change.
that was for the one in York Street. There used to be in
Yeah, I
York
remember
Street.
that one.
And,
When I was
Brown
driving a
Street.
cab, I used to often go there and
Yeah.
grab a pint and car back to the northern beaches. Yeah.
Main Street of
Yeah.
Barrack.
Yeah.
So that's all it is.
So were they things that you got yourself for doing donations?
I didn't get the 250, but yeah. Yeah, well, I've got the pins from there. Yeah.
As you were
Donating blood. When I got the donations. So
The older ones are nice and enamelled. The new ones are acrylic.
yeah,
Yeah.
no good.
But you can't do anything else. That's how they make them these
Yeah.
days. And yeah, fair enough. Very nice.
Oh yeah.
All right, thanks, Pat.
It's I suppose the start of the collection I'm working on. They're Italian medals, and there's a bit of a mixture there. I've just brought a couple of each type. Numismatic and I'll get this wrong.
Philatelic.
That's it. Associations. It's the top row and second row. They're all from roughly around the same area, the Udine and what's the name of the place? Palmyra. They're all modern. They're all reasonably modern, as in sort of the 70s through to the 90s. The ones on the bottom here, I've just started collecting those, which are in the Udine area, there's a bike race that they have for families, and they do it once a year. And so these are just medals commemorating those events. Got a couple of other ones which are. I'm trying to learn a bit of Italian, so bear with me. But I know you're good with Italian, Rudy, are you? Do you know anything? You would be able to translate for me? I've got a lot of the booklets with actual details of them, and I've just got to go through the process of converting that to English to understand what they actually all are.
Google Translate.
Hmm?
Google Translate.
Yeah, no, I haven't tried that yet, but I was going to. I actually use that in Japan. To read some of the things. There's also some that are celebrating the event of actually making medals. So that it's the art of making medals, and it's in the medal for it. So that's interesting as but they're all just fairly modern Italian commemorative medals.
Paul.
The media. Might just have to stand a little bit closer to here, is that all right, so I can remind myself what I've got here? Generally, it's about men on horses, thematic display, if you like. The equestrian portrait is been on coins since man started making coins, because he started riding horses before that. In fact, so you'll see that there's some portraits of Greeks on coins, Romans on coins, some British kings on coins and queens, and just segregate them into two lots, big ones and little ones. Just can use different size holes in the trays. There's some interesting coins though, just harking back to your invitation to show recent acquisitions. One of these is a recent acquisition, and it's one of the nicest coins in the collection there, the first English crown, 1551, of the boy King Edward VI, ex-Mark Freehill. Okay, so from one member to another, he was a long-term member, and very pleased to have one of his coins show. And of course it's also not only the first of many, the first crown, English crown, it's also the first equestrian portrait on a coin of England. So that's significant. And then the other coin at the other end of the row there, you'll see is the big half pound of, silver half pound of Charles I, as he was being chased from one castle to another by the parliamentarian forces in the English Civil War. And it's a very nice coin, just a physical size of it, weighs down your pockets. It's good because it's got the declaration on the back of it, 1642, the laws of England and the powers of Parliament and all of that, and so that's nice. And I've had that, I mean, whereas I've had the Edward coin for about 3 months, less, a couple of months, I've had that half pound for at least 30 years. So it's been around for a while. Anyway, enjoy that, but it's... there are a couple of coins there which got 2 people on, some of the ancient coins. Of course, that features the twins, the Gemini, Castor and Pollux. They're often shown together, both on horseback, and there's a Greek coin of them and there's a Roman coin of them. So
David, what period are we talking?
we're talking from about 400 BC to 1920s, 1935, I think. Yeah, I should have said the dates because the modern ones, there's probably only one really nice equestrian portrait on the Australian florin, the portrait of the rider on the reverse of the Melbourne Centenary. Okay. And so I had to feature that. There's a Melbourne sovereign there with St George and the Dragon, you know, the Benedetto Pastrucci. As is a lovely big crown, the Jubilee crown, also showing it. Much nicer in silver and gold in some ways because it's big and heavy. And there's also one, I don't know, I can't even remember where I got it now, but one of Lithuania. You know that Lithuanian coins, their coat of arms features an armed champion knight. Yeah. Vitas, I think his name is. I don't know about the pronunciation there, but I'm not sure his story, but I tried to look it up, but nobody can find it too easily. So it's a symbol of Lithuanian knighthood, I guess. But 1923, I think the little coin dates from. So it's worth having a look. So, yeah.
Thanks, David.
Thank you.
Number 5 is me. So I was just looking through all these, all the other displays. I thought to myself, well, I only really bought one item in, but in actual fact, that one item constitutes about 104 coins. So what I basically have there is a 1 kilo of pure silver in a bar. I decided that I had enough of the round 50-cent coins, and I decided I'd melt them down and make some silver bars. Mainly 3 of them for my 3 grandchildren. So So yeah, so off I went, and I went to the ABC Bullion Company and said, here's my silver. Can you make me three bars? I think that's when the trouble started, because it's not an easy task just to sort of say, here's the silver, give me the bars. Right? They first of all have to make sure that the silver content in every coin is correct. And I did my research anyway, because from the internet you'll find that there's 104 round 50-cent coins to constitute 1 full ounce of silver. Well, if you had the coin itself and weighed it, to get a kilo of round 50-cent coins, you only need about 75.3, I think it is. But that only gives you 80% silver. So I had to then sort of add the extra coins to the melting pot so that I could get a full 99.9% pure silver bar. So off I went, and as I said, I went to the ABC Bullion Company, and they started playing around with it. Because it wasn't pure silver to start with, there's a lot of wastage, because they have to strip off all the impurities. But when they strip off the impurities, they also strip off a bit of silver too. See, so it's not just an easy task. So anyway, I persevered with them, and yeah, because I was getting 3 bars, I gave them ample amount of silver coins to do the silver bars. They gave me a price to do the refining, which that was fine. I accepted that. And then if I wanted them sort of certified, or what do they call them, assayed, I had to pay extra money again. So when you see these silver bars in a shop or something like that, or be it gold or silver, it's not just a simple matter of saying just put a stamp to it, because it just doesn't mean anything unless you get the proper assay. It's that bar. It's got a serial number on it. It's got a certificate on it as well. So everything is legitimate. I can basically take that bar to any bullion dealer. They will see that it's ABC Bullion, provided they haven't had an argument with ABC Bullion. Like if you go to Ainsley or somebody else, they might sort of say, oh, we don't believe ABC, but ABC generally got a pretty good name. So that's what I did. Then came the next problem of trying to find a little box to put it in. It doesn't come in a box, it comes in a little bag. So anyway, we played around with the box and made it pretty enough to sort of be able to present it to my grandchildren when at Christmas time. So,
is it legit though to melt down coins, or that are still current? There used to be a law or something that you couldn't.
Well,
But is the round one still current?
well, that's still legal.
It's still legal, though.
Look,
Can't use it, but
the coins that I gave them, they were not collectible. Yes, I could have traded them in for $50 odd.
You can
I
use them
suppose.
at the shop,
Eh?
and it's got Her Majesty the Queen guaranteeing them.
Too many shops to take them though.
These coins belong to the Crown, actually.
Do they? So what were you apologising about before?
Turn the video off, right?
Sorry about that.
Anyway, yeah, look, they didn't argue the point with that situation.
No.
Yeah, I know of people that have done pre-decimal currency, which is not as bad. But the problem with pre-decimal currency is that that is 92.5% silver and 50% silver. And when you start melting down the 50% silver, it costs you a lot more, because they have to refine it more and more to try and strip out all that impurity. So I was sort of a bit deflated when I sort of had to pay the money to get it done, but so I didn't think it was going to cost that much. But I made the decision to do it, and I've done it, and there's the result. And I'm quite happy with the results actually, yeah, the silver price has gone down a couple of cents per gram the past month that I've had them, and who knows what's going to happen in the future. And I dare say my grandchildren are going to probably keep it for as long as I live. They probably wouldn't dare sort of sell it while I'm alive.
Not if you ask them every year.
Yeah,
Show it to me.
yeah, where's that silver bar? But no, that's that's. I dare say that my daughters will look after that for the time being.
What happens if you score another couple of grandkids?
I'll go and find more 50-cent coins. But this time I'll know better, so maybe I'll start offloading a lot of my
Just pull these
pre-decimals.
ones
Go and buy one.
Just knock those three down and chop them up into five.
Actually, my youngest daughter has just found a bloke. So who knows what's going to happen. So anyway, but no, if there's more grandchildren coming along, well then yeah, I'll find something to do. So,
Buy them a
I certainly
sovereign.
won't go to the extent of going gold.
Cheaper to buy them a sovereign each.
It's too small. This silver bar, it's full 1 kilo, and I think it's substantial enough for them to realise that it is it is something special. So that's why. Okay, thank you. Right, number 6, please. Rudy, number 6.
Looks terrific. My kind of display is, I'd call it Dutch numismatics. Now, what I've shown, I'm interested in actually looking through the history of medals in particular, right? And that the modern medal starts with the Italian Renaissance, Pisano, Pisanello, and that style of coin. The next great step forward, in fact, probably occurred in the Northern Renaissance with the Dutch. Paralleling in that was the Louis XIV, so we're talking 17th century, and that 17th century was the great heyday in fact the Dutch commercial empire. Between 1600 and 1750, the Dutch were the dominant commercial empire of the world. It's only after 1750 that the British took over. And to give you an example of how powerful the Dutch were commercially, around about 1680, Louis XIV got the news that in comparison with the Dutch, the merchant fleet of the French was some 17 or 19 ships, whereas the Dutch mercantile fleet, and that was sort of could double up as military type activity as well, were many, many thousands. And wow, to just give a sense of what's going on, because in England, 1688-89 was the great or the glorious revolution. William of Orange, the stadtholder of the Dutch, he arrived. Nominally it was a coup d'etat. He arrived 20,000 troops and boxes upon boxes of silver. And he and Mary were installed as the new constitutional monarchs in the new parliamentary setup. The Dutch were extremely powerful. Now, what I have at the top there, you'll see, they're Dutch coins. And believe me, Dutch coins are their new issue is kind of predictable. It's approximately, if not almost the same as the last. So that you just see the character of the Dutch. In the coins, nothing ambitious, because there is no glorification of the monarchy. in the period of the start of 1600 on, but that period of the Northern Renaissance, the Dutch had some of the most glorious names of the European history. Now they're coming on the back of Erasmus, who was already the start of the 1500s, and Erasmus is this Northern Renaissance humanism. Erasmus's In Praise of Folly was the #1 bestseller for 200 years, that you couldn't kind of, at the big universities, everybody, you read that because that was de rigueur to read these things. Now, they also, because of this great maritime tradition, well, let's say that the cultural tradition then included great Rembrandt, Frans van Hals. These are the great innovators, as well as the first great glory of modern Europe, which is the Northern Renaissance. Connected with the commercial empire was the great shipping. I mean, it's a small place. Holland's like, you know, not much, it's a Coffs Harbour down at Wollongong, basically. And yet thousands of pounds, thousands of ships. The first stock exchange was 1611 in Amsterdam. Bank of Amsterdam was established in 1660. The Bank of England, 1694, was actually modelled on the Bank of Amsterdam. That sort of, there are things to be remembered there, and the Dutch, so that the medal history, there's a line in which it recognises these great luminaries. So there's a medal there, Dutch medal of Rembrandt. There's the Erasmus one. There's two Erasmus ones. The one that looks, it's absolutely side on. This is modelled on the Great Renaissance medal of Erasmus, huge gold thing that you can see it in Florence, the Bargello there. So that there is a few that refer to the monarchy. Then there's a sort of a stream referring to the great shipping. Then there's also, if you like, a kind of design thing. For example, this one, that there is a sort of, when you look at the Dutch medals, they look Dutch after you get there. They look Dutch. So there's a few that show a kind of Dutch style of design. The last point, there really is a Dutch tradition of humanism, and one of the most remarkable medals that I've ever seen, actually. It's this one, and I've actually got two of them. So they lie here, you can look at the back and the front, but it commemorates the history of the Dutch railways. There they don't show the big CEOs, or they don't show the king or the queen or whatever. What they show is humanity at work, carrying the burden that made the railways possible. And this is a sort of humanistic tradition that's in Holland. I think if you just have a good look at some of these grand ones where the guy, you know, like this, anonymous humanity, benefactors of humanity, holding the rail. These are sort of got some really lovely features. There's a few of us here who can boast of a Dutch heritage, all right? There's one medal, and it's just, I know I'm getting past 5 minutes, but it's a terrific story. Because there's a big medal that's, I think it had a bit of a gold dusting on it or something, that's all come off now. Dutch are frugal. People who know. Now here's a Dutch story. At the medal, it commemorates the 1881-82 exposition in Amsterdam. The British decided that what they were going to do is introduce tea in a big way to the Dutch people, so as to open up a whole new market. And so they had a big stall at the exhibition, and they offered free cups of tea to all the people there, you see? And it's in the notes afterwards that they could not get the Dutch people to take a free cup of tea. They insisted on paying for it. It doesn't look silly. It looks kind of crazy from our point of view, but you get the free thing, and it's sort of somehow or another you accept an obligation, or you have an obligation and a debt, and it stops you. Perhaps it impinges upon your freedom as a person. These Dutch are very conscious of these things. Okay? That's the truth of it, don't worry. So, conscious of freedom, and that was the key to the Northern Renaissance. In the late 1500s, there was a big dispute, because this is the time of the religious wars and whatever, and the big dispute because the Calvinist position was that eventually there was a predestination, somehow or other we weren't completely free. But the Dutch, through Jacob Arminius, found a position that we were free. We were free within the framework of us being able to achieve individuality in a way that was a step beyond the medieval times. So, and that's Frans Hals, you know, the painter of personality, and it's all in the paintings back in those days. So there's a great artistic tradition, and it's imbued with a great kind of cultural and human consciousness. And this is, if you look at it, it's a modern medal of one of the great sailors, the captains. But if you look and see how he stands there, he's a free man. That's their way. I'm sure there was another really good point that I forget now, but okie doke, so there you go. Yes, I have a crucial point. The pièce de résistance I couldn't find in Blaney. I've got boxes and boxes of this stuff.
De Ruyter's medal, was it?
No. It's one of the most famous of all medals. There's a book here, and you can flick through the great early, you know, the proud Republic Dutch medals of the Golden Age. And there's a bookmark here, and it discusses the murders of Johann and Cornelius de Witt in 1672.
Right.
I have this one's reported in gold. I have a silver one somewhere in Blaney. I bought it all day now.
Let's face it, the De Witts didn't like the House of Orange, did they?
Eh?
They had to go.
The folks who were working for the House of Orange put them to, but still pictures. There's animals killing these people. It's a depiction of a murder. That's a Dutch medal as well. Up the nose.
All right. Now, George, have you got any recent acquisitions? George,
Don't worry.
have you got any recent acquisitions? Did you bring anything along to show? All right. Well, that's it for the displays. So what we'll do is we'll close the meeting. We're going to have our Christmas party over there. It looks like there's only going to be two of us that are going to be paying for the cups of tea tonight. Thanks, Rudy.
Sorry, what?
There's only two of us that are going to pay for the cup of tea tonight.
Oh, right, yes,
Everyone
that's
else is
right.
having coffee.
At least they haven't got
Only
it
the
on
Dutchmen have got to pay.
Yeah, but we supply the tea.
We give you the money, we're square.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. You've all got your own little cards. So have a look at the displays and make your decision, and just write the number of the numbers in front of each one. Just write the number on it and then return it to write on myself. And then at the end of the night we'll tally up and for the best display. Okay. Don't forget next month it's at Philo's house here, the 13th of January. And the topic of the night was what?
Gold and silver.
And Merry Christmas to all of you, and Happy New Year. And we'll partake in our Christmas party now. Thank you. we'll close the meeting. No.
The tea's not free tonight, it's a roll call.
For Rudy and I.
I can't
So we can
take
put
it,
the-
take away bad
Put the
things.
bids there, Dee.
Put the bids on here.
Yeah.
Here we go.
I mean, the Dutch were everywhere. I
Eh?
thought the Portuguese were everywhere, the Dutch were everywhere as well.
Right, you've got to work this one out. The English language is actually an evolution of a Dutch dialect, Northern Dutch dialect. That's really important for you to know.
I think the English language is the evolution of everybody.
Well, they're conquerors. You know, they've got the French and everything like that.
They call them Anglo-Saxons, yeah, that's the base.
Yeah. I'll get you one. I know where to go. You go and get it.
I've only got 50s.
I'll get you.
Well, that'll do.
Rod, where do we put our votes?
Oh, on the tray on the table.
Where are we putting them?
Just on that tray.
Uh-huh. You see, in the auction, when you look through, I mean, it's quite a number of things here, but there is no Dutch one.
Nobody put it in, I'm sorry. You should have put one in.
George, it's good to see you. Good to see you.
Thank you, sir.
Are you well, Rose? You well, are you?
I've got the 40 days of
Oh, right, oh, yes. Yes, I know somewhere, I know the Sydney Cricket Ground.
Probably not.
No one.
They are few and far between.
I know, I haven't seen one yet.
Some more.
One last lot for the auction,
Okay.
about
Now,
10 lots there.
the next auction's up, George. Now, just highlight to you which are yours.
Well,
Nothing, I gave him a couple of coins, so yeah, he only paid me for it, that's so, but I just said, you know, it's a radar number. So it's not, it's just a No,
71
I've never seen a radar number, except to do with selling.
to 92.
Never seen one in the wild.
So, those are your lots. Starts at 71 and goes all the way through 92.
So that will be too late, will
I haven't seen anything.
They'll be in the next auction. Or they'll be in the auction after, maybe. I'm running the auctions every 3 months now. So keep bringing them in, and I'll keep putting them in.
Where do we put the numbers?
Just on the tray over there.
Irish folklore. This is what the Prentice Boys know. Every year.
If you're,
Oh, yeah, I bought the box from
oh, I see. Send it away.
No, I just got this. I've got the boxes. I've got 3 of those boxes for 15 bucks each. So I thought, you know, something to put coins in. Yeah, I struggle with things how to present right. So I thought that's the easiest thing to start.
What's ABC? Declared.
And then they gave me low income support. And then they stuck their hand out and $188.
But ABC is also.
It has been in the past, but I managed to turn it around.
There we go.
The bound, the half bound.
Very good things.
On the trail.
Oh, I
The things they used to eat.
Because I knew the guy, the boss had to say, I asked him
Pretty expensive too.
if you had pure silver, 80%
On his horse, marching, it actually gives, it says, you know, there he sort of, this was celebrating the emperor leaving Rome to go to somewhere important, I forget, but you know.
Assuming continuing numbers.
And this one, of course, is the medieval one. King John was captured by the Black Prince in the 100 Years' War, and when he was eventually released, he minted this coin showing free, you know. So there he is on the horse, first French franc, actually. Nice coin that came out of an important collection too. Many years ago. And then of course you got the Romans, you know. The Emperor Hadrian. Strong born for the Emperor. And there he is, facing his enemies, horseback, brandishing a spear. Optimo Princeps, he gave his title was the best princes. Proudly proclaimed to be. I don't know if that was self-appointed or what. But no, it's fascinating coins. I like these early Greek coins too. Yes. Greek hoplite, naked except for his hat. Yep. Astride the horse, galloping. Man-headed bull from southern Sicily. Yep. What a nice coin that. Hard to get. So there you go.
Thank you.
They look better without the glass, don't they? But forget the crap.
Yeah.
He's got some interesting things there. The way he thinks.
I presume like with the numbering on that, what they just number them consecutively as they rather than a JV1, AB2 sort of thing.
Yeah, no,
It wouldn't go down, it's authentic.
Out of the block.
all three bars.
Did they have too much into breeding, the Dutch?
No, numbering.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, like say, if I were to change that JV1, 2 and 3, it wouldn't sort of...
No, that's their
Yeah,
numbers.
You know,
That's their
although
numbers.
they've all got.
How would you say, 50 cents for it?
Their blonde hair and everything, it all shows, you know.
1 kilo is 100 million.
Not a lot of difference, I think, between the Budweiser and the Dutch. There's a lot of the Frisians, they
sort of a minimum size they do.
they can't do it, as in the early.
They do 1/10 of a kilo.
Pushing the bucks a bit.
Yeah, it's still going to cost you.
They're just thinking, no, there was sixpences.
In the frivolously sixpences, the big problem is that,
You need a lot of
if that
Yeah, oh yeah, you know, a lot of...
50% silver,
Yeah, but I think all what, 40 cent, whatever that one.
no, after 46 it was 50%.
Yeah.
If you had a lot of 40, new modern stuff, yeah, 50% silver. But if you wanted a kilo bar, you're virtually going to give them more than 2 kilos of silver.
Why didn't you buy the 2,000 gold coin of the it's got all of this,
I wanted
you want the
The funny thing about it is I've got a kilo of silver that the Royal Australian Mint put out in the 90s.
That's what we came from.
This particular one, it's a big silver round thing like this. And I looked at that, this coin, and I thought, so what's the difference? Why is this one this big and that one that big? And I weighed it.
yeah, but that one's that big, isn't it?
No.
It's only about. Well, I give the one from the branch reach 21st.
That's because that was. See, my daughters were always telling me to get rid of some of my coins. So you did. So I did.
As long as you tell your daughters which ones are the valuable ones.
I was looking at that today when I went and put away some of the banknotes that I've got. And they're like, they're brand new 20s and 50s and 80s. Putting them away.
The grandchildren.
Children always want to get rid of stuff. One of my mates at the moment is in the process of getting rid of a lot of his books because his wife said get rid of them.
Books
Oh yeah.
I did it once with the Krauss catalogues. And somebody said, oh, can I have the Krauss book? English speak French.
It's really easy to forget where you put stuff.
Well, it is, especially when you go looking for it.
Especially if you put things in front of the cupboard, you can't get to the cupboard any longer. How long has it been since I've seen inside that cupboard? 10, 20, 30 years? Oh, you mean there's a cupboard back?
We'll check the correct page, the DeWitts. Other side of the medal. Thank you. Let's go around this side of you, Joe.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. Better, you did mention that.